Good day, it is Stephen Davids here. In this video, I want to show you how to help your child with the tricky words from grade 1 to grade 3. It continues. Very important. There's a good reason why these words are called tricky words. The child recognizes it today, but not tomorrow. We sometimes recognize it in the list, but when he must read it, he doesn't recognize it. I do not know the psychology behind and why the things are tricky, but you will experience it. You will know exactly why if you're involved with a child. The first step is that the basic principle apply, namely, if you teach a child the word, you must look at the word while you read it and listening to it, and you must also read it. But the fact is, he must listen to it also because he's learning how to recognize it in the reading. Because the process is now becoming quite repetitive, the children do not really want to look at the words. Second tip is that you must sound it correctly. Often these words are jollyphonic tricky words, and they do not necessarily say jollyphonics. So you must remember jollyphonics does not necessarily apply everywhere, but some of these words you can help the child by correctly pronouncing the words. For example, there, it is their car, and there it is. There is a little bit lower, and there. You do get on the internet how the tricky words must be sounded. The third tip is you sometimes can get words that spells and sound similarly. Remember that I can only think now of one example in terms of the tricky words. The child, when he reads the word, for example, what, the AT, the what, at, he gets confused because you get sat, mat, cat, and now he says all of a sudden, what? How does that do now? So you can make a sentence that I can think of, is what squat are you doing? Show the child examples of squat. For example, the child is here sitting, the other one is in a sports position, game position, baseball, and here the adult is exercising, here the people are relaxing, here in the Roman setup the person is busy with the toilet. So what squat are you doing? What squat? The child do not need to recognize the word squat because he's not busy with that, but just what squat in order for the child to recognize the what. You can also get the child to show you. You know these words, what words you have problems, and then try to address that word in detail. There are also games that you can play. These games you can play in general, but you can also apply it to specifically the section we applied to the tricky words. Remember, with these games, it is a good idea sometimes that you can incorporate a stopwatch that you find on your cell phone or mobile, and then also maybe rewards. A child is very competitive. Sometimes they want rewards in terms maybe of points. That's very easy. This doesn't take anything off you. You get 5 points, 10 points, etc. First thing is a word window. Just cut out a small piece of paper with a hole inside it like this, and then you can move this window around. What is this word? After. What is this word? Little. What is this word? And so you can move this around because you must remember the child starts knowing the pattern, and you must try to get rid of the pattern, so you try to move it up and down randomly, this window. Another game is wild patterns. You can draw a pattern like in this case. It's not necessarily the tricky words here, but I just want to illustrate it. Draw any pattern, and then the child can start reading in, he, I, of, it. Draw any pattern. Also give the child opportunity to draw his own pattern. My grandson, he makes any sort of pattern. I don't even recognize it, and he tells me, okay, this is a dragon or this, and then he follows his route. It's not for me. He enjoys himself, and that is the purpose. Try to break the pattern that they recognize. Let the things come randomly, and therefore you have wild patterns, and if they enjoy themselves, that's so wonderful. A sixth step is to point at the words randomly. Simply take a pen or pencil, turn it around, and then where it lands, there that child must say it. Where? Turn it around again, or he gets a chance to do it. come. Turn around, and so you continue. Me. Another game is to just write one end of the word and then ask the child, give me anything that goes before. Complete this missing word. For example, here you could put go, so, no. You can do this with would, should, could, etc. Come, complete this word in front. What can you put in front, and what word can this then become? He, she, be. What word am I thinking of? Or whatever, however you want to formulate this, it depends on you and your child. You can say, okay, no, 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 no. Here, I just want one word or two before. So this must be before, ne? And were, etc. Eighth tip is you can just in the opposite do it. Complete the missing end. Provide the front of it and say, now give me anything that starts with this word, however you want to formulate it. Come, complete this word. What, when, where, which. Be patient with the child. It's a game. The thing of this game is to help the child to recognize the words. You can even write it. It's not necessarily that you write it, but if you can write it, very good. Because they start writing sentences. So if he can write it, say the word, write the word, it is 100%. Ninth tip is to write the number and then ask the child to write out the word. In terms of the writing, I just want to say the following. If you start with the writing, if the child wants to bring his own words, even if they're not necessarily tricky words, allow him. You must be flexible because the main purpose is to keep the child interested and engaged. Remember, the tricky words are tricky and they are spread over 3 years for a very good reason. So be flexible. Another observation that I experienced is that ask a child to write the word, tricky word, seems to bring him into a totally new world. I do realize the instructions is read. I do not understand why the instructions only say read. But if you try just to introduce writing also, in the simple form as I said, the word ends on this, the word starts with this. It is like there's a totally new world. The child is not freaked out but disorientated. So, but I believe that a full experience, not only seeing with the eyes, but experiencing it, writing it, attempting to write it. Don't be explicit, you must write it exactly, but attempting to write it so slowly. That will help the child with this tricky words. As a word and then find it on the list. This is not, just write one, child must write one. Two, find out for me in the list where's one, where's two, where's three. This the child already do in math, so it's not something new that you introduce. You exactly correlate the math with tricky words in the languages. In terms of the writing, I just want to say the following. If you start with the writing, if the child wants to bring his own words, even if they're not necessarily tricky words, allow him. You must be flexible because the main purpose is to keep the child interested and engaged. Remember, the tricky words are tricky and they are spread over 3 years for a very good reason. So be flexible. Another observation that I experienced is that ask a child to write the word, tricky word, seems to bring him into a totally new world. I do realize the instructions is read. I do not understand why the instructions only say read. But if you try just to introduce writing also, in the simple form as I said, The word ends on this, the word starts with this. It is like there's a totally new world. The child is not freaked out but disorientated. So, but I believe that a full experience, not only seeing with the eyes, but experiencing it, writing it, attempting to write it. Don't be explicit, you must write it exactly, but attempting to write it so slowly. That will help the child with this tricky words. The 10th tip is that you must try to let the child read. Reading is the best exercise. You will see the child reads and then he comes with a tricky word that you practice how many times, and then the child still struggle. And I don't know the psychology behind it, but it is called tricky words. This doesn't mean the tips is not worthwhile. Follow these tips because it helps the child. It better equips the child to recognize the tricky words. Thank you very much for watching this video. We love constructive comments and criticism. Please like and share this video.